Trump is back on the block, yo, like they say in America. If you've got investment in crypto, I'm sure you're smiling right now because Bitcoin hit $81,000. Why is all this happening? You guessed right? You did guess right. Of course, it's because of the Donald Trump presidency. Trump wants interest rate down. He also wants energy costs down as well, which is a problem, by the way, because if he wants energy costs down, then it means it might affect Nigeria's crude oil earnings. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics in partnership with UBA. Yep, we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on the station. This is the number one stock market show. Trust me. We break down everything stock market, especially from the Nigerian exchange. All the major activities that happen during the week, I get to break it down here. Of course, my name is Ugodre Obichuku. I basically run this program. What a week it's been globally, not just in Nigeria. Global, it's been a very, very busy week. It's been like to the moon. I mean, if you've got investment in crypto, I'm sure you're smiling right now. Better go and check it out because Bitcoin hit $81,000 for one coin, just this morning. So, I mean, I still remember a couple of years ago, Bitcoin fell to like 20 something thousand dollars for a coin. And now it's at one time. At some point, people wrote off Bitcoin like, it's dead. Here we go. Bitcoin is now 81,000. And people are saying, looks like we're on the way to 100,000, per coin. A lot of people still don't, basically have just forgotten about their crypto. So if you're one of those, you might want to go check it out. And it's not just Bitcoin, altcoins as well are basically flying. Of course, US stocks have been on a tear last week. Why is all this happening? You guessed right? You did guess right. Of course, it's because of the Donald Trump presidency. Trump is back on the block, yo, like they say in America. So he's back on the block, and of course, markets love it. And even if you don't, I know a lot of Nigerians don't really like it, but market love it, man. Markets tend to follow the money like we do here. And so everyone expects a Trump presidency to be very, very positive for the market. I'm going to talk about Trump presidency later on the show and what it means for Nigerian stocks. So try and delve into that a little bit. But of course, let's go to the main reason why we're on the show. So the stock market concluded the trading week ending November 8th, of course. On the bearish note, the all-share index declined by 0.2%. When compared to the previous week. This is the second consecutive week that we're seeing a decline of stocks, but purely marginal, so nothing to be too worried about. But of course, it's a decline. Notably, trading activities surged during the week with volumes increasing significantly to 3.2 billion shares, which was about 18% higher than the week before. So essentially, there was a lot more trades, like volumes went up. But however, value, which is basically how the index is measured, did fall a bit, like I mentioned earlier. The broader market index exhibited mixed sentiments. Of course, there were 31 stocks that appreciated compared to 39 the week before. And of course, 42 stocks experienced declines last week, much better than 45 that we had a couple of weeks ago. But of course, when you have the quality of declines, higher than last week, then you probably would see market depreciation. Or if the qualities of appreciation is not as good as previous week, then that's probably what happened this time around. We also look at the broader index as a whole, the NGX Premium Index, which is the index for big boys. Whenever you hear NGX Premium Index, you're talking about the big boys of the exchange. I don't think there are more than like 7 or 8 of them. They're up 34%. Sorry, 0.34%. Yeah, up 0.34%, and not enough to sort of move the market positively, but 0.34%. While The NGX 30, which is essentially the 30 most capitalized companies on the exchange, fell a little bit by 0.17%. And of course, the broader index also down 0.48%. And then the oil and gas index up 5%, banking index up 2.8%, insurance index up 0.11%, consumer index also up, but the industrial index down by 0.02%, which is, conversely what the consumer goods index fell by. So basically, most of the indexes didn't do too well. And so it was just a sharp drop. It's nothing to worry about, nothing. So as much as the global markets reacted positively to a Donald Trump presidency, it's a completely different case here in Nigeria. We did not react that positively. I can think investors didn't really care what's happening there. But you guys have to pay attention. You really have to care about it because, like I said, I'm going to talk about it later on the show. A Trump presidency does have impact, potential impact for the Nigerian markets, capital market, that is. So you might want to pay attention to that. Back to weekly wrap. So what happened, last week in terms of gainers and losers? I'm sure you do have a portfolio of stocks, so you want to pay attention to the stocks that gained last week. So if any of the stocks is in your portfolio, man, you had a very great week, I think. So Unicell, Interlink PLC, I'm sure you're wondering, what's this company again? Well, it's just one of those penny stocks that tend to just pop up here and there. They did gain a whopping 45.9% last week. John Holt, this stock is the king of penny stocks. Like it just gains and then it disappears and then it comes back. I don't know who's playing yo-yo with the stock, but it tends to do that all the time. Almost every other year, up 45.76%. One of the oldest companies on the exchange for that matter. Corn Oil up 37%. Corn Oil did mention last week that there was a little bit of error in their results, which they now finally corrected. I kind of think the market liked it, liked what they saw. And so they rewarded Corn Oil with a 37.35% up again, or a pop, like I like to say, on the share price. Sovereign Trust Insurance, if you have that stock, was up 21% last week. Another insurance company, Consolidated Hallmark, was also up 14.8% last week, while PZ, despite the challenges it's having, was up 13.4% as well. Then Sterling Financial Holding Company, Tier 2 bank, up 11.7% last week. And of course, Access Bank, or Access Holding was also up 11.5%. So Access Holding is down 24.65. If you guys remember a few months ago on this show, I was saying, look at Access Bank. Take a look at that stock. It was about 18, 19 naira, 17, 18 naira at that time. So if you bought that stock, if you listen to this show and you bought that stock at that time, you're probably smiling right now with a 30-something% upside. Access Holding is up 11.5%. And of course, Aradel, which fell last week because, like I mentioned last week, it was, people who had already bought into the stock before it came to the exchange were probably selling down, did claw back a little bit of its losses and gained 8.9% last week. That's the stock, by the way, is on my radar. Yeah, so when I say stock is on my radar, it means that's a stock I'm looking at taking a position in. So it's on my radar. You want to pay attention to that stock. I haven't bought it yet. It's not in my portfolio yet, but it's on my radar. I'm going to be looking at those numbers closely during the week, and maybe on my podcast, Money Brief, I might just speak a little bit about Aradel. Coronation Insurance, another insurance company, was up 7.6%. Looks like insurance companies all did pretty well during the week. Of course, top losers, Owando topped the losers chart last week, despite releasing their results. I'm going to talk a little bit about their result as we go on. Plunged 21.9% to top the gainers chart. Abbey Mortgage also lost last week by 18%. We saw Tantalizers also down 12.5%. By the way, I did hear that there is some movement around Tantalizers. They haven't announced anything yet, but I am hearing that it looks like there was a major acquisition in that stock over the last few weeks. We're going to dig into that at Nairametrics and we're going to expose it. Nobody has said anything yet, but we suspect there's something going on with Tantalizer. Looks like there's some kind of new management or new owners or someone who's taking significant position in that stock. And so, movements a few weeks ago is probably why this happened. But the stock was down 12.5%. During the week. Of course, Maya down 9.9%, Eternal down 9.8%, IEI, insurance company, down 9%, and on and on and on. And there were a lot more insurance companies as well. NASCON also down 7.8% to round up essentially the top losers during the week. So how was your portfolio last week? Was it positive or did you gain? Let me know. You can tweet at me at Godre or at any social media platform for that matter. There were also some results during the week that we did see. Jumia, for those who are wondering, Jumia is a quoted company. It's just that it's not quoted on the Nigerian exchange, but Jumia is quoted on the New York Stock Exchange. And so Jumia released its quarterly results during the week as well, and they recorded a $20.1 million operating loss for the third quarter of 2024. This was a 10% decline year on year when compared to $18 million that it posted the year before. In terms of revenue, Jumia reported $36.4 million, representing a 13% year on year increase. But in terms of constant currency, because Jumia always has to sort of convert these currencies. It was 9% increase compared, of course, to 13%, like I mentioned earlier on. According to Jumia, the result reflects resilience in operational markets despite currency depreciation. One of Jumio's biggest markets is Nigeria and Egypt. And Egypt, and like Nigeria, is going through serious currency pressures as well. So that is impacting Jumia. Jumia, by the way, exited the South African market a few months ago. Jumia's GMV, which is essentially how e-commerce companies are basically measured, that's the gross merchandise volume or value, I beg your pardon, for the quarter stood at $162.9 million, down by 1% year on year, but up 29% in constant currency. By the way, this is just a quarter. So in 3 months, in terms of the total value of transactions that Jumia has done, $162.9 million, right, in that quarter. So Jumia essentially takes a cut of that, right, and that's the revenue that I mentioned earlier. So that's Jumia. Presco also releases results. Presco, this is the Nigerian company that operates on the exchange, one of my favorite agro stocks, by the way. Third quarter earnings, pre-tax profit, 16.6 billion compared to 10.8 billion at same period last year. So doing pretty well. Basically a 53.4% increase. And now their pre-tax profit is now 67 whopping billion. Yep, 67 billion for Presco, doing pretty well as revenue as well for the quarter was 40 billion, up 40.8% year on year, of course. So pretty good results for Presco. Another major result that was out, like I mentioned earlier, was Owando PLC. Owando was out, released its unaudited financial result for the first half of 2024, posting a pre-tax profit of 45.5 billion. So perhaps this is why Owando stocks rallied a few weeks ago. I think there's a lot of positivity going on around the stock. So even though we did see a decline last week, but they finally released their numbers. They've been trying to catch up with most of the other stocks, and that kind of affected their listing on the exchange. At some point, the exchange did penalize them, but finally, their half-year result is out, and it was pretty good for them, even though they had some support from FX evaluation gains. Owando does a lot of exports as well. So we're going to take a short break, and when we're back, I'm going to go into a few other issues. We're going to talk about UBA. UBA, yep, sponsor of this program. They're having a right issue. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we will go into Trump and a few other things that I have in mind, especially the Fugas. I want to tell you guys how banking stocks perform after their public offer. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics in partnership with UBA. My name is Godre, and we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. If you've missed any part of this show, not to worry at all. You can just go to our YouTube channel at Nairametrics, and a video playback of the show will be up there. And then, of course, previous ones as well that you probably want to go back to, you can always listen to it. Of course, you can also listen or stream on Spotify or any podcast platform that you prefer. All right, so we're back to the second half of the show, and UBA, UBA is our partner. They are having their right issue pretty soon. They did announce, they sent an application to the NGX for approval and listing of a right issue totaling 6.8 billion ordinary shares. And the announcement follows, of course, their impressive result. They did 101% increase in pre-tax profit. So they're going on the right issue. And interestingly, the right issue is going to be priced at 35 naira per share. Interesting number there, 35 naira per share. And what's interesting is that UBA did, at some point last week, did hit around 35, 36 naira per share, which was like the, one of the highest that we've seen this year, before it now fell slightly to about 32, 33 naira. But I kind of think that it's going to be around that 34, 35, 36 naira. It's going to hover around that price as this, right issue continues to ensue. So that's it. Right issue is up there for UBA. And if you want to buy, I think it's for shareholders, people who own shares in UBA as at November 5, 2024. Yep. So, like I said, stock has been doing pretty well. It is start at 25 naira at the beginning of the year, fell a little bit to 24.4 naira. But then it's gained massively and it's now around 32, 33 naira per share. So if you want to probably own the stock, or if you already own it, if you own the stock already, then you qualify for the right issue. But if you don't own it, remember that you can always buy it on the exchange yourself. You can just go there and buy it because it's still going to be trading. It's not like frozen like they used to have before. By the way, for those who are existing shareholders of the stock, the structure is essentially one new share for every existing share held. And that's basically the 1 for 1. And so UBA is essentially going to be listing new shares, right issue only for shareholders. Like I said, if you wanted to buy the stock on your own, you can just go in there. People have often asked me, why am I buying right issues? Or why do we need to buy all these public offers? Like, is there any value in it? And so, I've always said there's value in it, but we did some analysis at Nairametrics over the weekend. You might want to go to our website and read it, but I'm just going to talk through it a little bit. How has, some of the Fuga stock that have, done their public offers performed so far, this year? And Fugas, of course, is an acronym for FBN Holdings, UBA, GTCO, Access, and Zenith. 5 largest banks in Nigeria, even though I suspect one bank might be joining them pretty soon. But how have they all performed? And we looked at it, not just Fugas, we also looked at all the banks that have already done their public offer. So their share price before public offer and then their share price after public offer. So let's just start with Fidelity because they started out first. And they did raise 127 billion in a hybrid offer. So theirs was essentially a public offer and a right issue. And their share price has essentially, shown robust recovery. It started with a dip of about 7.8% in Q1 and then is risen over time. But I could remember that the share price was trading at about maybe, was it 9 naira or so when they did their offer. It did now rise to about 14 naira per share. So Fidelity Bank, if you own that stock before the right issue, and or the public offer, and then you bought it, you probably will be smiling right now because the share price has done a lot better than before that offer. So that is one down. That one passed, of course, like I mentioned. And we'll go to FCMB. FCMB also did, their own offer. They essentially just even concluded their offer as well. It was at 7 naira 30 kobo per share. The offer was opened in July and closed in September. And it's risen slightly above that, above 7 naira 30 kobo per share. I think at some point it was 7 naira 70 kobo per share about start November. 8, which was last week when we tracked it, it was up 30% at about 9 naira 50 kobo. So again, so those who bought FCMB shares, who bought their offer, already seeing their share price appreciate. So you see, so that is 2 down. Right now we keep going. Now we go to GTCO. Remember, GTCO also concluded their public offer in August. Again, we did see a share price resurgence for them. By September, the share price had gained about 18%. And by November, it surged to a 52-week high of 55 naira per share. If you recall, I think GT was around for something naira per share or so in terms of their offer. So it's up to 55 naira per share now. So if you bought GTB at that time, you should also be smiling right now. Year-to-date gain is 32%. It's gone up 14.2% from the first half of the year. So, but year-to-date is 32% already. So you've seen GTB also done pretty well since it finished its own public offer. That's 3 down. Three. All performing very well. Now we go to Zenith Bank. So Zenith Bank share price also saw another notable improvement since it launched its offer in August 1. So let's also try and see what has happened. As at September 30, the stock had climbed by 13% to close at 37.5 naira per share. But wait for it, as at November 8, when we did check, it was 42 naira. You see? So offer was around 34, 35 naira or so, and at 42 naira per share. Offer price was 36.5 naira, just to be specific. But as of last week, it's closing at 42 naira per share. So again, Zenith Bank gained. I'm not making this up, guys. This is real. This is how it is. So it appears from the pattern that we've seen, most after the public offer closes, the share prices of the banks have often gained. And that's what you want to see if you're an investor. You want to be sure that the money that you put in there is at least working for you. And it looks like it is working. So Access as well. Access, I mentioned Access. Access came in at about 19 naira or so a share. If I remember their public offer at the time, 19 naira 75 kobo to the specific. And Access Bank, as at November 8, is 24.65 naira. I mentioned it earlier. You see, another gain. So that's Access Bank. And so these are the banks that have done public offers. And I didn't make these numbers up. They have essentially gained over the last few weeks since their public offer closed. So who is up now? UBA is up now. Yeah, UBA is up now. So I don't think they're going to buck the trend. I think they're just going to follow up with what's going on. So UBA is up. FBN as well, Holdings, by the way, is also, I think that's even currently up as well. I think they started last week. UBA is about to start. So my bet is on that these stocks are also going to reflect what we've seen over the last few weeks. Their share prices will also appreciate. So, man, it's not all the time that I give you sort of freebies, but here I am. I'm essentially telling you what to expect from the stock. Right. So we move on to the other topic that I had in mind today, and that is Donald Trump's second coming. So there's an extensive article on Nairametrics where we try to, break down what Donald Trump's presidency means for the Nigerian economy in general, right? But of course, this is a show about the capital markets, and that's really what I want to focus on. But if you want to read what it means for Nigeria in general, just go to Nairametrics. Just search Google and put Nairametrics beside it, and you'll probably find that article. Extensive, well done. We essentially broke down what it means for immigration, what it means for exchange rate, what it means for trade, what it means for even geopolitically, and a whole lot of other stuff. Essentially broken down there for you. But I'm more interested right now in what it means for the stock market. Like, what does it mean? Donald Trump presidency. Does it mean that the stock market is going to benefit from it? Because at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. That's all we care about. Those of us who follow the money, right? And I mean, luckily, he's been president before. And so we do have, a basis. We can always go back and see what happened during his tenure when he was president. I think that was between 2016 and 2020. And see if there could be some kind of change or maybe the same thing recurring now that he's president. And what better way? I mean, you know what we do at Nairametrics? We're essentially a data-driven platform. And so we looked at the data, and then a number of things tend to drive stock market participation in Nigeria, especially from the point of view of foreign investors. Whenever foreign investors push in, like portfolios or dollars come into this country, which is what we've been looking for months now, it tends to go to FPI, that's foreign portfolio investments. As we've seen that happen already this year, but it's mostly gone towards fixed income securities. That's buying our bonds and treasury bills and automobiles and all the stuff. But we haven't seen a lot go into the stock market yet. Now, my bet is the next wave of FPI, foreign portfolio investments, that are going to be coming to Nigeria is going to be finding its way into the stock market. And when that happens, you're going to see a boom, trust me. And I think that boom is likely to reflect first with banks. So banks are lowly priced at the moment, even though I did mention earlier that you're seeing their share price appreciate, but they're basically undervalued because these guys are in for bumper profits by the end of the year. We've already seen that happen. And so what happened during Trump's era? In 2016, Nigeria attracted $950 million, very only. And that was, of course, because we were going through a very bad period at the time. In 2017, it increased to $2.47 billion. In 2018, it increased to $3.58 billion. And a lot of this money went to FPIs. And then in 2019, $4.5 billion from this was actually inflows from the US into Nigeria. Inflows from the US. So now, in 2019, when the US gave us $4.5 billion, we did see a total inflow of about $23 billion coming into Nigeria. And so United States alone brought $4.5 billion of that. Over 20% of that money came in during the Trump presidency. So it kind of looks like that might happen again. And why did that happen? Interest rates were ultra low at that period. And so already we are seeing interest rate trend downwards in the US, and it looks like that is what is going to keep happening. So Trump wants interest rate down. He also wants energy costs down as well, which is a problem, by the way, because if he wants energy costs down, then it means it might affect Nigeria's crude oil earnings, except we're able to ramp up our production. If we ramp up our production level, then it probably won't affect us that much. But what is pretty clear here is that interest rate will go down. Even interest rate goes down to the Trump era interest rate, then we expect to see foreign inflows and our stock market will perform. That is my thesis here, and that is what I think for the Trump presidency. And that is how we're going to be ending this show today. Of course, I'm going to speak more in my morning briefs, which will be returning this week. You can check out our morning briefs on YouTube at Nairametrics YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. I hope that you've gotten enough. Of course, we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. And of course, you can always stream on any of your favorite podcast platforms. I remain Ugodre Obuchukwu, and this is Nairametrics for the Money. See you next week. Do have a profitable week ahead. Goodbye.